Peace, everybody. How are y'all doing? This is Fasting is Life, and we're back again with another awesome show. And salute to everybody out there who's listening to me to YouTube, watching this, and for those of you who are listening to me through Anchor and other podcast website. I really appreciate it. Please make sure you subscribe to those channels so you can stay in tune when I upload an audio. And for my new viewers and listeners here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Remember, you're watching. The subscribe button is not far from where you are, just a mouse click away. And like and share this video so others may come and check it out. All right, let's get into it. As you can see from the image I have, and the title of today's show is Phantom Time Hypothesis. Phantom is another word for ghost. So you could look at it as ghost time hypothesis. So, what is this about, right? Some of you have heard of this, some of you have not. So, today, what I'll do is I'll give you the origin of this hypothesis and give you what I've done with my own study. Basically, I took this um, research and I added to my own studies to come up with my own conclusion. So today, regardless of what other people have done in their research, I will give you my opinion, my perspective, my research regarding the phantom time hypothesis. And as you can see in that image, it says what? Our fake history. Right? And I can show you other images that I made. So I got this one and I have this version right here. I have this version right here. That's the Roman Empire seal. And there are many images that I'm going to be using. I have this one right here. Time is running out. Here's another one. Time is running out. But to keep your focus, right? Let us find out what is the phantom time hypothesis. And we're going to go, I'll have information where I can show you the origin of the hypothesis. Now, I could screenshot the link where I'm reading. It's going to be in Wikipedia and other website regarding this, but the author of this hypothesis is a German, so a lot of his materials are going to be in German. I don't speak German, so I can't understand what he's saying. But those who knew German and those people were able to translate, that's how I was able to basically get the information and get what he said and go with it, right? And I'm also gonna basically use his information and um, use it as in parallel with the Bible, because if you didn't know, the Bible does tell us that time, regarding to time, that time, there will be a kingdom that will think, quote unquote, think to change times a law, but we know time is subjective, meaning it's a creation, right? It's part of creation. But how man count time, right? We try to match with what nature already is, right? So based on the calculation of time in accordance with nature, your time or your calculation will be in harmony. But the Bible mentioned that there will be a time where that harmony will be broken. It will change. But history tells us that the times that we're living in is quote unquote the correct one. When, according to this hypothesis we're gonna get into, even their own calendar is not correct because there are many. If you didn't know, there are many calendars. But worldwide, what is the common denominator calendar that we use? The Gregorian calendar. So this should raise your question. If everybody in the world is using the same calendar, even though there are many calendars, why is that? So let's get into this. All right. Phantom time hypothesis. It says the phantom time hypothesis is a historical conspiracy theory asserted by Heribert Hillig. So right here, according to these reports, they're calling it a conspiracy theory. This is what mainstream does when an information that go against the common denominator narrative, they will claim it's a conspiracy theory. But here's another thing. What is a conspiracy? To conspire. It's secrecy. So it's like anything that quote unquote doesn't go, let's say, if everybody believes that you must do one thing and the person says, well, no, this is not how it's supposed to be done. Everybody says, oh, that's basically, if your narrative goes against the mainstream, the accepted, then they will label it as conspiracy theory. So they're saying because notice it says hypothesis. So meaning this person had a theory and he had he hypothesized to basically come up with based on his research. It's just a hypothesis. So why would they call a hypothesis a conspiracy theory? This person didn't come out like I didn't hear him say it's a fact. He says that based on his research, he came up with the conclusion that to his results, the times that we receive is not correct, right? I mean, it would be another thing if he came out, he'd be like, okay, this is a fact. This is a fact. No, he just said this is a hypothesis. So that should really raise your antenna when a subject like this are just label conspiracy theory, so you will ignore it, right? Because that's those crazy people, those tinfoil. Oh, let's just push it aside. But today is the day we're gonna get into it, and I hope it's not gonna be 30 minutes because it's a big subject that I was like, if it's gonna be a 5 minute video, it would have been done already, but I'm already past 8 minutes. Let's get back to it. First published in 1991, he hypothesized a conspiracy by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and possibly the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII to fabricate the Anno Domino dating system retrospectively in order to place them at a special year of Anno Domino 1000 and to rewrite history to legitimize Otto's claim to the Holy Roman Empire. Illig believed that this was achieved through the alteration, misrepresentation, and forgery of documentary and physical evidence. According to this scenario, the entire Carolingian period, including the figure of Charlemagne, or it's actually Charlemagne, but I know Americans say Charlemagne, is Charlemagne is a fabrication with a quote unquote phantom time of 297 years between Anno Domino 614 through 911 AD, added to the early Middle Ages. So, according to Illig, the year between 614 and 911 AD. Notice key very important. 911. It's a very coding numbers right there. That should click something in your head, right? Basically, the time between those 2 years, according to his research, never existed. It never existed. Now, is this a fact? Who's to say? Because we know from history, right, that certain things are quote unquote erased. Records are burned, purged from the timeline. So the winner of wars, certain people keep certain information. Certain information are not given to the public. So with things that we already know, with common sense and things we look around us, it should not be a surprise to come to the conclusion that time, that as we know it, is not correct. Is not as they're told to us. It is phantom. It is fabricated. There's been a lot of retraction and adding to the point where people are lost. You need, quote unquote, a leap year. Wait a minute. The nature uses the same cycle from year to year. How in the hell you're gonna have a leap year? Where in nature you're gonna? Oh, you know what? Nature's a today. I'm gonna add a leap year so the time could be corrected. Nature don't worry about that stuff. It's man. So rather should tell you if man is doing it, there has to be some fault somewhere. Because if time as it is smooth, why is there complication from our perspective as men, right? So you can read it. It's very long because I don't want to make it as that. So to basically summarize, according to Illig, right, he said that they've added 297 years that never existed. Think about that. 297. Now, that's based on his research. So, let me share the calculator. We're going to make it fun today because I know some of you are there, you're like, oh man, we need to see more than just just a plain picture. So we're gonna have a fun day today. So let me show you. Where's the calculator? Calculator. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. All right, you guys can see the calculator there, right? The calculator. Let me remove the picture that I have here. Okay. Let's see. Let me change the background so it could be fun. All right, you guys can see that, right? There's the calculator. So according to Illig, he says they've added 297 years, right? So what we'll do is we're gonna do 2020 minus 297 years. What do we get? 1723. So according to Illig, if we remove the years, the times that was added to our history, and when I say history, I'm looking particularly according to the Gregorian Julian calendar that we use today, worldwide also, because Muslims or Islamic countries, They base, according to their calendar, the first year of the Islamic calendar is the year that Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, uh, was born. If I can recall, eh, I believe it's when he was born or when he began his ministry. But I think it's they start counting in his honor the year he was born to basically mark the beginning of Islam. Right? So when you look at the calendar, it would be like because Islam was in the late 600 something, so it will be in the year 1400s. So in the Islamic calendar, they're in the 1400s, even though they know that there was time before Muhammad. It's just that in their calendar, they based the years from Muhammad. So even right there tells you time is messed up because there were people thousands of years before them. So it's like, wait a minute, how are you gonna, dismiss all the others? But we don't want to get too confusing. So let's come back to this side of the water, right? So based on this, that's what I'm showing you. Based on the phantom time hypothesis introduced by Illig from Germany, we are in the year 1723. We're not into year 2000, based on his research, because he said that there was inconsistency to the point where summer was showing up in winter. Because you have to remember, most of the world they followed the lunar calendar. They were following the lunar calendar, and the lunar calendar is short 10 days out of the year. Because according to the correct time, there is 364 days in a year, not 365. That's false. That is fake news. That's why every year, every other year, you need what? A quote unquote leap year, because they messed up the time that they have to do these stupid leap years. There's no need for that. If they were to follow the correct calendar, which is 364 days, you have 30 days, 30 days, and then 31 days. Why? Because that one additional day is the equinox of the changing of season. This is according to the Bible, according to the book of Enoch, according to the book of Jubilee. But because we're under the Roman rule and they thought about changing times and laws, of course, time is not going to be correct, right? Now, I gave you the historian point of view of his research. Now, I'm going to show you from the Bible's point of view. And I know people hate the Bible. You already know people hate the Bible. They don't like it. Let me show you the uh Hebrew calendar, right? Right there, it shows you. Let me remove the tag. It's showing you the time of the season. And now here's an interesting part I'll let you know. The Hebrew calendar follows the lunar calendar, the Babylonian calendar. Why? Because according to the Bible, there was a time where the children of Israel walk away from the laws of Moses, and they began to copy everybody around them. And by copying everybody around them, not only did they copy their customs, they copies their laws, their religion, and everything else. So the most popular calendar at that time was the Chaldean or the Babylonian calendar, which was short, because in a year there is 364, because the sun comes up every day. That's why. But the moon only shows up 354 days out of the year. I mean, y'all, those of you who are listening to me, have you ever had a day where you walked outside at night and you never seen the moon nowhere in the sky? Yes. Why? Because some days the moon doesn't show up. because the moon travels at a faster rate than the sun. So with that speed, it's shorter. That's another. We have that for another time. That's actually going to be reserved for the flat Earth conversation. There you go. I know you got already panic. You're, oh my God, no, no. Oh man, that's going to be fuming. It's going to be interesting that stream. But let me show you the other calendar. Uh, Let me hide this. For those of you who are listening on the podcast, I'm actually showing some images. So if you're wondering what I'm looking at, you have to go to my YouTube channel so you can actually see the visuals. Now I have here the Enoch calendar, which shows 364 days, and the equinox. It's divided into four, and every third month there's an equinox, a seasonal equinox. And at this moment, I would like to shout out to the Gathering of Christ Church. They had according to their studies, when they were doing the research years ago, this was years ago, they uh, they had discover, not only the Enoch breakdown of the calendar, but they actually at that time they were looking at the worldwide time clock, and they were able to pinpoint exactly the day of the equinox, which actually falls on true uh, the true equinox of the year, which is 14 days before the real Passover every year. And when they did that research, every year from then on, time fell exactly at the same time every year. Meaning that there's, like, if your birthday fell on a Saturday of, let's say today is Saturday the 14th of 2020. Guess what? In the Enoch calendar, the actual calendar, based on the cycle of the year, next year in 2021, guess what? The 14th of November will fall on in 2021? Saturday. Guess what day the 14th of November will fall on? 2022. Saturday. And so on. It will never, ever change. Why? Because time is the same according to nature. So, based on the reason why they call it the Enochian calendar, it's because Enoch was a prophet. He wrote a book where he was shown by the angels in the heavens how time goes, and how the cycle of the sun, the clouds, and everything. And he broke it down. And this is what's the calendar that the Israelites under Moses learned, because the knowledge got lost. Why? Because different cultures began to develop their own way of counting times. And the most popular way of counting time was the lunar calendar. Why? Because those calendars were created in association to festivals, holidays, to the deities and gods, right? And but if you follow this calendar, everything is perfect. And you ask yourself, well, if everything is the same, every year, why, November, like, why? Because they're playing you with the 365 days, which is stupid, right? I'll show you why 365 days is not only fake news, but it's stupid. Now, we remember we learned in math, right? Uh, what are decimal numbers, right? Think about it. If you have decimal numbers and not when you have decimals, what you have to round it up, right? Now, let me just use common sense. How many days are in a week? 7, right? There are 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 days are in a week, right? Pay attention to the math because math is absolute. If you have 7 days in a week, 7 times 52 weeks. What did they tell us? They told us that a year, there are 52 weeks in a year. Listen, pay attention. 7 times 5, 2. And before I go, notice 5 and 2. 5 plus 2 is what? 7. So even in a year itself, it tells you. So 7 days times 52 weeks, what do you get? 364. Absolute perfection. This is the correct number of days in a year. Why? Because you have what? 52 weeks. Now watch this. If you, let me see if I'm showing, let me remove this. Let me do the calculation. I think I wasn't showing you guys, so let me clear this up. Clear. 7 times 52, right? For those of you looking at in a visual, you can see, right? Okay, I'm making sure that you can see. Equals what? 364. Now watch this. I'm gonna show you from this calculation and show you how and turn like how everything is gonna be perfect and taking the number they gave us and show you how imperfect it is, right? Now we have 364. Let's take 364 divided by 52 weeks. 52 weeks. What do you get? 7. Oh, already. Okay. 364 divided by 7. What do you get? 52. Oh, so you see right there, everything is clear. Everything is perfect, right? Now let's check it out, right? Because I show you already. 5 times 52, you get what? 364. Now let's do what they told us, right? 365 days. They say there are 365 days in a year. And you have what? 12 months, right? That's what they tell us, 12 months. You ready for this? Okay. 365 days divided by 52 weeks. What do you get? You get decimal numbers. Okay? Right? Now let's take this decimal number. No, that's one decimal number, right? And then let me clear things up. Let me do 365 days divided by 7. What do you get? 52.1. So right here, it's already telling you that this calculation is false. Because if, taking our time, how in the hell are you going to have 52.1 weeks? It don't make no sense. There are 7 days in a week. 7 times 52, you get 364. So where do you get the decimal number from? You see? Now, even me showing this, you're going to have some people who be like, well, this doesn't mean anything, right? This doesn't mean anything. So my question is, if you have 365 days in a year, shouldn't every year be perfect because it falls on the same day? Why do you have to do the leap year and all that stuff, right? And now watch this. If you take the Enochian calendar, let me stop sharing. Let me remove this. Let me go back to this calendar, right? But if you follow the Enochian calendar, everything will be perfect. Why? Because you have 30 days, 30 days, 31 days. Why? Because you got 30 days plus the day of the equinox. So you got 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31. And then, so every season falls exactly the same day every year. If you follow the 364 calendar, the counting of time according to nature, according to the season, it will never change every year. But if you follow the Gregorian calendar, you will be lost. That's why you notice every year, like you be like, well, hey, it feels like winter started early because they keep changing all the time. And they gotta do the leap year. Why? Because if they don't, you're gonna have summer in fall. You're gonna have winter in spring in the calendar. Why? Because they mess it up. And this was not like some people say, well, was that an accident? Let me show you an example of time changing. Look at this calendar. Some people may call it conspiracy, but they say, this was from India. They say in the year 1752, according to the Gregorian calendar, look, from Tuesday to Wednesday, first, second, and then bam, 14. There's a lot of questions that surround this, but I'm just showing you an example about how some times will change under people's eyes and they have no clue. Now you ask yourself, why did it change time? Right? They'll say, why did it change time? It don't make no sense. Blah 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 blah. Right? The Bible has a lot of things about it. I know people they hate hearing the Bible. But hey, that's my book, you know. I filter almost everything through that book because that book has a lot of information. Because people don't read it, they don't care, right? The Bible is called the, the book of scriptures. Why? It's a script. It tells you the things that have been, the things that will happen, and it tells you in order exactly how it's gonna go, right? So if you read it, you will understand. Let me go to the book of Jubilee. But before I go to the book of Jubilee, let me bring out the Old Testament in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, and verse 25. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. And people say, well, who is the he? When you read the context, it talks about an empire, right? Starting in verse 23, let me go back to verse 23. It says, thus he said, right? The fourth beast in the Bible, the word beast, when it comes up, when he talks about in this subject, the word beast represents a kingdom, a empire, and that's what it says right here. See, the Bible tells you exactly what it is. It says, and the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. And kings here, it's talking about also kingdoms. And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until, watch this, a time and times and the dividing of time. So Daniel was giving a count, a clock on how long these people are going to be into this beast's hands. Now check this out. In the book of Jubilees, Moses, by the angel, was given the time clock of time of humanity, or some people say humanity, of mankind, from creation till what the Bible refers to as the consummation of time. There is a clock. This reality that we live in, what we call Earth, has a clock. But according to the scriptures, it's a count, it's a countdown, not a count up. But from our perspective, it's a count up because it's normal. We come from zero going up and up, right? But from the heavenly perspective, it's a count down. So Moses was given a countdown till the end of what you call time, because time had a beginning and time will have an end, and there will be, you know, I'm using words that I can understand. From the heavenly's perspective, time doesn't exist because time was created. That's why they come in a world, in a realm where time to their perspective could be a blink of an eye. A blink of an eye is 1,000 years to them. Why? Because they don't have the conception of time is not in that dimension. It's within the earth. So if you are born in this earth, you are bound by what? Time. I know even in science that they try to have theories, time travel and all that stuff, but time is part. It's a thing. It's a creation. So even time has a limit. Time is not gonna be here forever, right? Just like men die and perish. Guess what? Time also will one day perish. We just don't know when. But the script, if you believe in what the script says, or from the scriptures, the Bible, it tells you from creation until the consummation of time that Moses received, there are 6,000 years. You've heard on secular, oh, according to Christians, they say the earth is only 6,000 years old. No. People see these stuff out there, they're thrown out by the deceivers to throw people off so that when the actual true information comes out, you won't believe it. From the time mankind was on earth, time began to be counted, right? Because man counts time, right? So the angel explained, you have to read the book of Jubilees for yourself. Um, because I'm looking at my clock now. I'm already 37 minutes. Wow. I didn't know this topic is gonna be interesting. I wanted to be kept short, but best, you, my viewers, you let me know, because it is a subject where I thought we'll talk about it in a short amount of time, but it seems like time is on my side. Because there's so much we could be hours. I'm thinking about, I'll probably have a live stream about this subject. And I know when we do have it, we're gonna be speaking about it forever. Now, we may have another part. Basically, based on this stream and this podcast, if you want to hear more from my perspective, just make sure you leave a comment, send me a message. Uh, because I know some of you who are listening to me through Anchor, you may be shy, and there, you just message me. Don't be shy. Follow the link of my YouTube, or you can come on my YouTube, send me an email on my email. There's a description on my about, where there's a link where if you want to email me, you can, or to the podcast platform, there are options where you can message the channel or the podcaster, right? So I would love to hear your feedback, because this topic is too grand to just talk about it for a few hours. Um, what else I want to talk about? So, according to the Bible, this new empire was going to change time and laws, and will basically confuse the world. Now, notice it says that this kingdom will devour, will break into pieces all the kingdoms of the earth, right? And that fourth kingdom, according to the Bible, it was and is the Roman Empire, because the old Roman Empire was the fourth kingdom according to the Bible calendar. First, the kingdom that came before it in the Bible timeline was the Grecian Empire, which began with whom they call Alexander the Great, or Alexander the Macedonian. He was the little horn of the great Grecian Empire. because he took over after the Persians. So the Bible gave 4 mighty kingdoms that will rule the known world of that time. But as you can see, if all the earth, you can go to any countries today, China, New Zealand, Australia, almost every country in Africa, Europe, North and South America. Guess what calendar they're using? The Gregorian Julian calendar. And who introduced that? The Roman Empire, right? Who went out of the world to colonize? Spain, Great Britain, Portugal, Germany, France, all those countries, Denmark, you name it. All those nations they are broken pieces of the quote unquote Roman Empire. If you study history, so this is not a quote unquote conspiracy theory. This is a fact that all of the world were colonized by who? Europeans. Even what they call the Arab world, they too were subject to the great and mighty power of Rome. The old beast that was wounded, that was dead, that was seemed dead, but was alive, resurrected. That's why he told you the 10 horn out of the fourth kingdom, out of the fourth beast. But like I say, this is a subject, if I were to speak on it, we'll be here for hours, guys. That's why I'm trying my best to keep it short, but looking at the clock, I'm almost at 45 minutes. I think this stream is gonna be to an hour. But I'm gonna rush it up and basically conclude you with my calculation. So according to Illig, he said they added 297 years of time, right? But according to my calculation, because like I told you earlier, shout out to the Gathering of Christ Church. They're mostly known as GOCC. You can follow their YouTube channel. It's called A Gathering 144. It's a church that speak on the Israelites, Christianity. It's basically a church, but their teachings are what I'll call non-conventional Christianity, because mainstream Christianity doesn't teach on the Bible, right? So they did a research and they used scripture, historical finding, and they even went on to what's his name. At that time when they did the research, they didn't even know about Elig's hypothesis. All they did is they were doing research. According to their report, they were fasting. Because they knew the Bible says that time was going to be changed. So they understood that we now live in a time, because the Bible talks about that there, when we are in the last days, there are things that are going to be happening, right? And then you've had quote unquote these Christian churches and sects. When I say sex, I'm talking about sects, like sects, plural. That will say, "Oh, the end of the world is going to be this day. Oh, it's going to be that day." Notice when I talk about time, as I said, from the time of creation till the consummation of time, because I didn't say the end of time, I said the consummation of time, because time in itself will have an end, but within this earth there was a timeline that was given. So when people come and say, "Oh, the end of the world," the reason why they can do all that, why? Because if people knew the true calendar and the consummation of times, they won't be deceived by people coming and say, "Oh, it's the end of the world. We need to hurry up." Because why? People will know the time they're in, so they won't be panicking or they won't fall for the track, right? So I'll give an example, right? Supposedly, the people who understood the Bible, they knew that, oh, okay, we are in a according to the Bible calendar, based on the year that we're in, we have 89 years left until the consummation of the time. But it's not to say that it's after that, after 89 years, time ends. No, it's saying that based on the seasonal, this time after it's like as we get closer to that time, some things will happen that will let us know that we're getting closer to the consummation of time. But you won't fall for someone to say, "Oh, in 5 years it'll be the end of the world." You'll be like, "No," because you'll be like, "The consummation of time is like in 89 years. What are you talking about?" Right? So no one will be able to deceive you if you knew the actual time, right? But if you don't know, people can come and say anything. Why? You're gonna assume, oh, they might be right because by you not understanding the time you're in and looking at things that are happening, the illusion, the deception, you believe it, right? Some people, for an example, right, this year under this pandemic, some people will say, "Oh, this is the end of 2020 is the end of the world. We need to sell everything. Let's just wait for Jesus to show up. Oh, it's the end of the world. We're gonna die." Like, you see what I'm saying? But if people understood the prophecy where it says there shall be rumors of war, keywords, rumors, there will be wars and rumors of war. Now watch this. Wars, there are many levels of warfare. There's psychological warfare, there's physical warfare, there's economic warfare, there's political warfare, there's religious warfare, there's many sorts of warfares, people. So you may experience one thing, and you know what? The Bible says there'll be rumors of war. So that means we in the end. Notice, in the book of Matthew 24, he says what? Even after all these things, he says, the end is not yet. That's why I tell you, people don't read the Bible. Because if they did read the Bible, those quote unquote Christian sects will not fall for it. Because if they believe in quote unquote Jesus they believe in, if they believe in his word, how in the hell they're gonna believe it's nobody out of nowhere, some guy who came 2,000 years after him, according to their calendar, and say, you know what? We all need to come together. Let's drink this Kool-Aid or let's sell everything. Why? Because we in the end of this is the year Jesus is gonna return. But if you read it, well, wait a minute. Christ say, okay, a lot of things are gonna be happening, but he says, well, the end is not yet. And he said, I don't know when I'm coming. So if Jesus you believe in doesn't even know when he's coming, right? Because his disciple asked him, they said, uh, when are you gonna show up? He says, I don't even know. Only my father knows, right? How in the hell this guy who's some dude out here or some lady who was just born yesterday coming to tell you, oh, you know what? God, he's so good and merciful. Doesn't even tell Jesus what year he's gonna come, but he's gonna tell you. He told me because I'm special. He's gonna come in 2 years. So you know what? Y'all sell everything. We need to come in this little camp somewhere, and just leave us. Let us separate and just be ready. Let's sell all our possession and let's just leave nothing and just wait for the Lord to come and pick us up so we can float in the air and go to Bema and just be happy, to rapture. And you know why those people fall for that deception? Because those people don't read the Bible, or do they understand it? I never fall for those trap. Well, like, that's what I say. How can they fall for it and I don't? Why? Because I read the Bible. No one out there can fool me and come tell me that Jesus is going to come this year when the Bible says nobody knows. And that's what Christ said. He said, all I know is from my Father is we not going the time that was given, we're gonna go fully. Why? Because if the Creator allows it, all mankind will be killed off. There will be nobody left. So he's gonna cut, not keyword, he will cut the time short. He, referring to the Most High, he will cut the time short. He will cut it short to save his people. He's doing it for a reason. And that's why And that's what I say. To me, actually, I think that's actually clever. Watch this. If the creator gave mankind, when I say mankind, I'm talking about us living here, but that time is actually the time for the gods that fell, right? Satan, whom the word called Lucifer, Jehovah, whatever his name is, the creator, the most high, gave him time. He said, okay, you are ruling this dimension. You have 6,000 years. But here's the secret. She says, but guess what? Based on what I'm planning on doing, I'm gonna cut that time short. So you're not gonna have all the time you need. So the devil knows that. Oh man, even though I have a countdown to 6,000 years, I need to hurry up and finish my plan, right? So it's a rush of time that Lucifer and the other gods are doing. So in a way, if you know the calendar, you will understand that what period you're in, and within that period there will be a point in time of that season where the time will be cut short, but we don't know. It will be ambiguous, but based on the timeline of the events that are going to be happening, it will tell you that things are getting to the climax, not the end but the climax. That's what you should be watching out for. Now, looks like I'm approaching the 1 hour mark. I knew this was gonna happen, but not at this level. So showing you guys, of for you listening, that this is a topic. If I were to really get into deep, it would be like an actual class and session. It probably more than 3 hours, because if I want to show you, because I know a lot of people say, well, where is the evidence? Where's the information? If I were to dig in and show you everything that I have with me on the tabs, we're gonna be here all day. So I know you guys have things to do, so I'm kind of rushing in now to kind of finish it off, so I don't go overboard. Now I'll put it simple, and I had to do this to save the best for last. Why? Because people will see an hour uh, video or podcast, and they're not gonna listen to it, or they'll eject. So it's a good thing I'm actually doing this after 52 minutes. According to the Bible, from Moses to Christ, or whom people call Jesus, the time was 1750. Seven was it 1,750 years. And from his time till the consummation of time was 750 years. So basically, in the book of Jubilee, you have to read it for yourself. It tells you from creation, or from Adam to Moses receiving the law and the children of Israel going over the promised land was 2,500 years. And then from Moses to the consummation of time will be an additional three, was it 3,500 years. Adding all those times together will be 6,000 years. And another Bible passage which give us that when the Bible talks about first day, second day, third day, it talks about 1,000 year cycle. Why? Because in the book of Peter, it says that to the Lord, a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years a day. That's why the Bible in one verse it says, in 2 days I will revive you, and on the third day you shall live in my sight. So that 2 days was referring to 2,000 years. What the Most High says, I will revive my people within 2,000 years, and on the third day, or the beginning of the third 1,000 years, they shall live in my sight. But you look at it 2,000 years, no, within 2,000 years. And what is the time that it falls in? 1750. So how I'll show you my research. Now, on my research, they didn't add 297 years like Eli came out. They actually added 304 years. 304 years, according to my calculation. Why? Because if you take 204 years minus 297, which was Illig's hypothesis, what do you get? 7 years. Why? Because when you do research, when they talk about the birth of Jesus, many Christians believe that Jesus was born in the year 4 BC, right? 4 BC. Now, here's the thing. When you look at King Herod's reign, right? The timeline, you be like, wait a minute, that don't make no sense, right? Because when you look at the BC calendar, it counts backwards. So it goes 6 BC, 5 BC, 4 BC, 3 BC, 2 BC, 1 BC, and then it goes to Anno Domini. So BC counts backwards. So you know they don't count zero, right? Because it went from 1 BC to 1 AD, because you don't count zero, right? Because they don't say 0 AD. So when they were changing the calendar from Common Era to Anno Domino, they didn't count the zero time, even though it's counted. It just go over. So if King Herod died in a year, King Herod died. Let me put it up. I want to be sure, because sometimes I know on the internet they change information. I remember King Herod, right? Let me pull up King Herod, and it's gonna tell you the year that he died, because that's how I was able to figure it out, right? It says, because it says that King Herod died 2 years, because remember when Christ was born, everyone was, oh, okay. He told the Magi, he says, if you find a child, let me know. But when the Magi didn't tell him, he says what? He got angry and told to kill the children from what? From 2 years and under. So I use that calculation, right? King Herod, it says, let me see. It says his King Herod died in what year? Let me make sure. Death. King Herod died. It says 4 BC. Um, yeah, 4 BC. And some people say, 4 BC is equal to 1 BCE. So if King Herod died, because even in the Bible dictionary, it says that he died in the year 4 BC. So if he died in 4 BC, that means Jesus, whom they call Jesus Christ, was born 2 years prior. Because according to, even in the book of Josephus, tells us that after he did that, killing the children and all that stuff, he got sick and he was getting those boils and all that stuff, and he died, right? So if he died in 4 BC, that was his reign, uh, that means, let's see, let me make sure. Okay. Let's see. Because, it gets complicated when it's, yeah, it's, there's a lot of, it gets complicated because some of the information they destroy and all that stuff. But if you research, even it tells you that he's reigned from, uh, like he died in 4 BC. So I'll show you in the calculator, right? So if you count 6 BC, that's where I said 6 BC, that's when the Christ was born. 2 years after, was it 4 BC, was when Herod gave the command to kill the children that are 2 years and under. Because why? Because he got duped by the Magi. And then, after looking at that time, because in Christianity, they say, oh, Christ was born, was it 1 AD, and he died and rose in year 33 AD, which is false. because even some research, if you study whom they call the Christ, actually lived to 50 years. Like he didn't just die at 33 as people talk about, claim. So like I say, counting down from 6 BC, right? 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You don't count zero. So zero makes it what? 7 years. Because 1 AD, there is no 0 AD. So if you go from when they changed the calendar from 1 BC, it should have been 0 Anno Domino and then 1 AD. But no, they don't count as 0. So if you count 6 BC going down to Anno Domino, you have an additional of 7 years. So Alec, in his calculation, right? He was looking more based on common uh what is it, common information, because some Christians say, oh, Christ was born in what's it, 4 BC, right? Like the same year that Aaron died. Because I don't know why, but even if you did that, you're still gonna be short. It won't be correct. So on my study, I was okay. So if 7 additional year to the birth of Christ, and adding it, because if the calendar that we have, they took out 297. Not only that, they calculate, because they talk about Christ. Even in that number, they got it screwed up. Going from BC to AD, right? Because they say before Christ, which don't make no sense. It's stupid. How can you be before Christ when you're born? Like, you see what I'm saying? That's why they had to change it to before Common Era, because the calendar was based on Jesus, and then now in modern time, they, oh no, we're not. Let's not say. But if you study history, you understand that back in the day, I remember when I was little, right, in middle school, high school. Back in the day, they would say BC means before Christ, and Anno Domino is basically, you know, the follow up of our era, right? Now they call it Common Era because they had to change it. So they mess us in everything. We got duped. Like, we got deceived in so many levels. Okay, let me go back to the calculation. I know you guys are tired of me talking about. Okay, so if Eleg had 297 years, and my calculation says, oh, no, 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 no. It's not just 297 years. There's an additional 7 years that they left out, right? So plus 7. What do we get? 304 years. And you know what's interesting about this number when I was looking at it? 3 plus 4 is what? 7. There's always some sevens because 7 is perfection. It's perfection in numerology. So watch this. If you take 220 minus 304, what do you get? 1716. Now watch this. I told you, according to the Bible calculation, that the gathering of Christ, what they did years ago, using the book of Jubilee, from Christ's birth to the consummation of time, the calculation will be what? 1750. That's why I came up with it, because I was like, it will make sense, because if you're calculating from Christ's birth to the 1750, you gotta have the correct time if you're gonna calculate from his birth, right? So, like I just gave you, if I would have used 297, it was still not correct, because I won't be counting based on the calculation, based on the calendar. I'll be off 7 years from Christ's birth, right? But if you calculate from his birth to our time, it shows what? 1760. So according to the time clock that's left, because it's a countdown, if you take 750, because that's the Jubilee, the year that they calculate till the consummation time, how Moses was, because it was given by section. So it was saying when the Messiah will appear, it will be a mark of time until the consummation, because he's gonna his time on earth will be called short, and he's gonna be taken away, ascension. But then it says that that time clock will still be going, right? So if you take 1750 minus 1716, which we just did earlier, what do you get? Oh shoot. 1750 minus 1716, which is according to the calculation, what we calling to 2020 is actually 1716. What do you get? 34 years left. And look at the number again. What do you get? 3 plus 4, 7. It's all about perfection. 7, 7, 7, 7. You see the sevens everywhere. Now, when I did my calculation, I was sitting there, I was like, man, I'm like, I hope this could be true, this could be false, who knows? But you don't want to wait and assume this is how much time we have till that consummation of time. Now watch this. If we have 34 years left until that 1750 clock countdown that was given from the birth of Christ, that means within these 34 years, that's when Christ will return. Why? Because the Creator said he will cut the time short. That 1750 will not be full, quote unquote, come to fullness. Why? Because if it comes to fullness, Satan will accomplish his mission of exterminating all the children of Adam, because we are in a war, according to the Bible. The war is between the gods that fell and the God that was created on earth, which is Adam. That's what the Bible says. Ye are gods, but we are men, because why we have flesh. So looking at it this way, if you were to add these 34 years to 2020, if you were to add this on our calendar, that means in a year 254 is supposed to be what? The consummation of time. But we will, according to the Bible, if we're using this calendar that we have, we will not, Christ is going to come before this year. And you want to know what's interesting? In the news out there, they were talking about supposedly that in the year 253, something is going to happen. Like they're saying out there, but I always say there's always some weird things out there. But what I was just giving you was me using the Illig hypothesis, the information that his conclusion that they came about when it comes to time, and I used the Bible timeline according from the book of Enoch and the book of Jubilee, and I used my own study on looking at the timeline of King Herod's death and the year that Jesus, the character of Jesus, is supposed to be born. And I realized that we are in a year seven, was it? We are, if you take 2020 minus 304 years that was added in the Gregorian calendar, what do you get? 1716. So we are literally in the 1700s according to Bible calendar. Does that mean this is true? I can't tell you. Why? Because we've been lying on time. But this is what I believe in as of now, according to the calendar. Yes, I use the Gregorian calendar. Everybody, oh, we're in the year 2020. Today is what? November 14th, 2020. Yeah. Why? Because I'm under the system. I have to play along. I have to play my part. I don't want to stick out. You think if you're walking out here saying we know you're gonna be looked at as crazy. Why? Because that's what everybody believe. But The good news is, as we're getting closer to, you know, the season, as the world is crumbling down, as these societies changing worldwide, the people, the gods, you know what they'll do? They're gonna come in the open. They're gonna guess what? They're calling us now conspiracy theories and all that stuff because we're revealing things that they don't want the mainstream to know. In the years to come, and it's already coming, those same gods are gonna be coming. We're gonna be seeing them. They're gonna come and they're gonna be like, guess what? Everything you know is a lie. This is the truth. This isn't this. Why? It will blow people's minds away to figure out that, to realize that they've been living a lie. And that's how they're gonna be able to utilize them for the one world order, to accept, quote unquote, the truth, which will still be another lie. But they have to give you a lie, then give you the truth, and then give you a lie to completely break you, because you're gonna be so lost. You'll be like, I don't know what to believe anymore. That's why a lot of people are, when they're given the truth, they always say, I don't know what to believe anymore. Why? Because they never had a foundation in truth, even in a reality of lies. If they're given any ounce of truth, they're still not gonna believe it. They're gonna reject it. Why? Because they're like, well, I know I'm being lied to. Well, what should I believe you? Because you could be lying, so it will be more lies. So they'll reject you. Why? Because that's how they want people to be. They want you to be confused and crazy. Why? Because their lies are craziness. Their lies are actually conspiracy theories, but they're gonna tell people for revealing their lies as conspiracy theories. That's why my channels like mine and stuff like that, the things I say, most people won't even listen. YouTube is gonna shadow ban. That's why I appreciate Anchor and places like that where I can actually podcast something and I'm not gonna be censored. And that's what that's what's going on right now. There's a big censorship on people expressing their views. They're gonna flag it. They're gonna be like, "Oh, we need a fact check, fact check." So the question is, who's fact checking the fact checkers? Who? Who's out there to make sure the fact checkers are actually fact checking the checks? I mean, the checking. So if you made it this far, because I know, right, I already passed an hour and 12 minutes of the time clock. If you've made it this far, right, guys? If you made it this far, just know that according to the Bible calculation, we are not in the year 2020, because 2020, they're saying that 2000 years and 20 years from who? From our Lord, from Jesus. But that's false. Why? Because Christ was born according to the Bible calendar, Enoch calendar. He was born 1760 years ago, meaning he was born 1716 years ago. So we're not in 2020 years. That's fake news. Because why? The Roman Empire, the fourth beast, thought to change times and laws. They gave you this calendar that's used worldwide, and a time with added time that never existed. He like said Charlemagne and all the empires, the stories that will learn about that period never existed. And he even went out, which was interesting. He had a theory based on historical findings that a lot of the monuments that they give us, oh, it was from this. He said a lot of those monuments are not even that old. An example would be like we in a year, Gregorian year 2020, right? It's like you building a statue of, let's say, of Zeus, right? And you use the clay like something that's similar to Greece, right? And then 50 years from now, they'll bring it in the museum. They say that that statue this guy built 50 years ago is gonna go 250 years. Oh, it was built somewhere. It's meaning they're blatantly lying to you. They're giving you something that's not even that old. And there's nobody to verify it. But because the monument or the statue or the art matches a quote unquote a time period in history, oh, it must be that old. You know, it's like you buying a. You remember in the 1970s they had those big pants on your feet, like the wide, like you wear pants, but then it's gonna have that little wider bottom part, right? The little big wide thing. It's like bringing that style today, right? And people 20 years from this, oh, remember back in 2020 we had those big wide pants, and then some people will be like, well, skinny jeans, right? Oh, skinny jeans is a new thing. Now realizing that skinny jeans was from the 80s, where people they were wearing tight jeans. It's not new. It's just an upgrade. So, the Bible says there's nothing new in the sun. So, to conclude, guys, time as we know it is not as is. They lied to us. They gave us lies and deception. And if you use math even tells you that 365 days cannot be how many days are in a year. That's fake news. It should be perfect. 364 makes mathematical sense than 365 days. And I showed you. I showed you earlier. 364 divided by 52, you get what? 7. 52 times 7, you get 364. 364 divided by 7, you get 52. Interchangeably. It's the same thing. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. They lie to us in everything. But by you finding this knowledge today, you know, it I'm not here to convince you otherwise. All I'm saying is, with the information given, go ahead and do your own study, your own research. Don't take my words for it. I'm just a man. I'm giving you basically my opinion and my conclusion based on the information that was given to me. And I went on and added more of my understanding, because if you do the phantom time, they will give you the same number, 297. There's nobody out there who's saying 304 years. I would say I'm the first one, because that's my calculation. I could be right, I could be wrong, but hey, I'm just using the math based on the information that was given to me. But we all of us can agree as a fact that the time that we're living in is not the actual time. We should all agree. Why? Because it makes sense. Because we're using a Gregorian calendar, which comes from home. Every culture have their own calendar. So some people say, well, how can your calendar be correct when we have the Chinese calendar? They got the Chinese, even though they use the Gregorian calendar, they also use the ancient Chinese calendar. So they're gonna be like, who's to say yours is the correct calendar? Yours is the correct time. But you know what I'll say this: if you're using the 364 calendar, your time is gonna be correct. And when I say you may be off when it comes to the years, but every year your time will always be correct. That's right. So hey, I'm gonna end it up on this, guys. We are in a year, according to my calculation, we're in a year 1716. So yeah, as a joke, 1776 never happened. This is for the Americans, because the end of quote unquote America's foundation was 1776. So the joke is, if we're in the 1700s, that means the 1776 never happened. Because they were using what? They were using the same calendar. So What do you guys think? If we are in the year 1716, and according to the Bible, there is only from Jesus to the consummation of time is 1750. That we have 364 years before the reserve time ends, and then a new time begins. Because people will hear this and say, "Oh, are you saying it's in 34 years it will be the end of the world?" No. How can the world ends if there's still a sky? When people talk about the world ending, it's not talking about the earth. It's talking about society. When the Bible refers to the word world, it's the Greek word for society. The earth is the earth. It's always been here. It will always be here. But world societies changes. One society comes up, one society perish. That's what it talks about. And while world gave all the earth time, the Roman world, that's right. So I really want to thank you guys for stopping by and checking out this podcast and stream. I know I've gone so long. I tell you, I so wanted this to be under 20, 30 minutes. I could not do it. I'm sorry because there's so much to talk about. And I'm even thinking about doing a live stream about it. So stay tuned, guys. I'll see y'all on the next one. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, to like and share. And for those of you listening to me to Anchor, don't forget to subscribe to my Anchor channel. So those of you listening to me on Spotify and others, please don't be shy. It doesn't hurt. Come to YouTube, so you can watch the visual and like was a favorite my Anchor channel. So whenever I upload another podcast, you can stay in tune. So thank you guys. I appreciate, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out. Be safe, and have a great weekend.